And I want to welcome you all here to our Tuesday evening educational series. And we are so fortunate and so blessed to have in our midst Siobhan Nicolaou, who is going to be speaking to us about the power of falling in love with the love of self. And I'm Janet Childs. I'm the chair of the Education Committee at the Universal Church of the Master. And we are so grateful that you have tuned in to us tonight. And also, we are so grateful that you have perhaps maybe listening to this recording if you were not able to be with us in February when we first made this recording. So I just welcome you all here today and know that we are in the presence of a wonderful evening. Siobhan is an amazing person, a published author, spiritual coach, medium for spirit, soul reader, and metaphysician that has been cultured for 33 years through extensive personal experience and continuous transformation to become a powerful medium as the sword of truth. Siobhan is a leading expert in the field of emotional energy transformation in humans and in homes experiencing EET, to be the key to personal and global transformation. That is an incredible, incredible gift that you are bringing us. Siobhan offers all of her sessions and workshops on a private one-to-one or group basis via Zoom, with live events again beginning in May 2022. And the reason I want to say that is that anyone listening to this will know when they could access if they want to have a live event. So thank you for making that commitment to open up. It's like empowering us to see the end of our COVID-19 times. That's fantastic.
Right.
And please go to her website to view her menu of services and how you can host one of her events for you and your group. And I want to say thank you, Siobhan, for offering us this support free of charge. It's a real gift that you're giving us of your incredible wisdom, your time, your energy, and your gifts. We so appreciate this to support the Universal Church of the Master. And so we have a tradition, and I just invite you all to take a nice deep breath where you are and stretch your body. I don't know how many of you may have been via Zoom or on Zoom for many days or hours, or who knows what the day might have looked like for you, but just allowing ourselves to breathe and release anything that might be troubling us, any burden that we might be carrying, and just bringing ourselves to the present moment. And a tradition we have is the lighting of the candle. And we've made this candle just for you, Siobhan.
Thank you.
It's just a fun little heart. And just a fun little heart to acknowledge that we are the heart of light for and with each other and for and with the world, and that we claim this light and that we are that light for each other. So, Siobhan, thank you so much, and we are so excited to be here and be present for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate, your generosity of spirit, your generosity of everything, and asking me to be part of this. And I'm more than happy to give you my time and my support. First, I'd like to thank you for that, for asking me to speak, and on a topic that is so much more than the normal human experience of love, of what people tend to look forward to as a single day celebration, missing the whole point altogether. Love is every moment we can bring ourselves back to it. I became a licentiate minister through Universal Church of the Master in 1998, after being a student in UCM for 4 years prior to that. I was ordained Reverend in 2001 at the Loretto Chapel in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I currently reside on the East Coast and serve others all over the globe. So UCM has been a big part of, it's been a support through my sponsor, Reverend Springfield, who, opened the door to UCM for me. And it's been a big part of those years. It's been a lot of years now. So 33 years I've been awakening, and, a good chunk of it has been through this process to now, 1994 to now. So tonight we're speaking about the power of falling in love with the love of self, self with a capital S. And love is a many splendored thing, but that's an old movie, and it reflects the human struggle for love, the emptiness, the longing, the feeling of separation from that love, when in truth, where there is love, there is never a struggle. Emptiness, there's no need for love, and nothing can occur but the expansion of love when love is made conscious through the art of self-love. The following paragraph is an excerpt from my first book, The Absence of Evil, Love's Reclamation of the Soul. It's from chapter 1, called Starry-Eyed. And it says, there's nothing in my childhood that can explain why or how I've come or become who I am. It is only through healing and transformation that I have become that I am. And even when I believe I have arrived at who I think I am to be, I'm given the option to become more or more of the same. The key is love and knowing that who you are and who you were are always in the process of becoming. So how does one fall in love with the love of self? What does that mean? Well, I only know how I got there. So let me share a short story of how I discovered the power of falling in love with the love of self. In 1994, I was guided by Spirit to stop channeling for the sole purpose of realizing that the wisdom and love that I was seeking elsewhere was in fact inside of me. My ego wrestled with this notion, for in channeling, I knew it all. And as it was put to me by my wise guide, my life didn't reflect all that I knew, and that knowing knowledge was much different, a much different experience than being that knowledge itself, and that loving myself was the path to the experience of self as love. So using golden light instead of white light challenged my ego again. I remember hissing at the boombox where I had my golden light guided meditation cued for use. That shows you boomboxes were still in that.
Oh my God.
Yet beneath the hissing, I felt a deep inner knowing, a much deeper calling that I had never felt before, and knew without a doubt this was something I could not ignore. Being told that I was what I was seeking put me on the path to proving it to myself. A bit defiantly at first, because I don't take what anybody tells me immediately. I used to tend to go to resistance almost automatically. And the only way to find if what I was told was true for me was to do the work to find out. So I took the tools of inwardness. And never read anybody else's spiritual books on any subjects of the like, and began meditating with the golden light to awaken this vibration of unconditional love within my physical and emotional bodies. As this consciousness illumined my body and soul, it began to awaken the love within me, which did not know itself to be the love that it was. It stirred the dogs in the shadows within me, sleeping in the vast halls, behind the veils of ignorance and emotion, deep inside the catacombs of my half-empty holy temple. At first, it was dramatic, as they sought to convince me they were anything but love, these shadows, growling and hiding within the deepest caverns of my separation and unworthiness. Yet I continued meditating each day, most days, twice a day, allowing the love of God, the golden light that some call Yeshua, Jesus, the Christ consciousness, to flow within the depths into the totality of my being. I began to feel this river of sunlight more easily and watched it flow where it could go, without a thought of what I saw or what I felt about what I saw, and learned to let the shadows be without judgment or focus. As the energy of negative emotion would arise from within me, reflecting in resonance with external reality, I learned to work with the presence of this love and hold the inner space for the wounded child that I found behind every mask creating this experience. While containing my body within the love of being, the presence of this love allowed her to feel safe enough to express inwardly for the first time how she felt. No matter what she felt or how she needed to express how she felt, love just held her and never judged her. Surrounding her until she was finished and then offering her love's embrace, I would hold her each time she would take it until she surrendered and her energy transformed from illusion to light. I learned through the earliest years of self-love that love doesn't care, love just loves. And in this non-resistant, unconditional, undivided, unwavering presence, that anything will eventually come to transform to the truth of itself, which is the love of self indeed. When the child began to welcome this love and to trust this present and to embrace it every time, it wasn't long after that that she felt victorious in taking personal responsibility for her pain. And after hundreds of embraces, she saw herself no longer a victim or a shadow, but as her light, able to embrace anything without an external fight. Since then, she goes only to self for the love that's true, to the love that transforms and makes her anew. After thousands of transmutations in my love's true embrace, I stood awakened in the stillness of love. The silence of love then began to speak to me of its consciousness made conscious by me and introduced itself as we. We said, I am the conscious transformation of the self within the self, the light bearer of peace within the struggle. At the core of your most intimate self, strength is fostered with love, and love becomes the constant in which all is held, nurtured, and reborn. Over the years, our love has grown to blossom fully into one from the seeds that we have sown. And each day as we open our heart, we give thanks for our presence right from the start. Such a romance, such a love, such ecstasy unmatched. It's all in love's dance of creation. There's nothing attached. From within this being of love that is me, Emerge the sword of truth for all to see. Truth is a consciousness beyond the me or the need to be loved, who awakens others from the darkness to dove. So falling in love with the love of you will lead you to truth and create you anew. And in the silence we spoke, even stronger in preparation for our journey and the fears the small self would have to conquer. When the energy of the soul emerges from all it's been told to all it was intended to be, it's scary to others who know not this power within themselves. And when the light speaks in a way rarely spoken, not sugar-coated with bubbles and squeaks, it awakens one abruptly from its drunken state of illusion to the sobering world of truth. The continual transformation of my ego self has let external reality off the hook, and I experience the working relationship within the totality of my loving being, working as one, not one or other. Falling in love with the love of self has birthed from within me the truth of self, and that all there is the love of self. Now, the power of my true self, expressed through the love of self, keeps all in check with my ego self, for one reason and one reason only, that I love myself more. And in turn, I surrender more to the love of we, which reinforces my sovereignty. And now we teach others of their ability to love and how they're all they really need, below and above. As my spirit says, it's not our job to be a source of love for you. It's our job to show you that you are source and you are loved. This is what's true. So stop looking outside yourself for me, but in your heart. Your external focus leaves your heart empty and your search for love unending. I'm in love with the being of me, the presence of love unwaveringly, the love that holds me and nurtures me, heals and transforms me, never lies and adores me, inspires and nourishes me, and in this one true love has set me free. So that's my little story about how I came to falling in love with the love of self. It's a way that you learn to be when you appreciate the love that you are. When you wake up every morning knowing that that being within you, that loving being, is the only reason that you wake up in the morning. Showing appreciation for that spirit. In Judaism, it is the moda ane, or the moda ano. And we wake up every day giving gratitude and thanks for the spirit. And I love how that in and of itself is an inspiration. So waking every day inspired, which is inspirited, is a great way to start your day, to feel the appreciation for the being that is you. That's planning on surprising and delighting you all through your day. The co-creation of this being is the name of the game for me. It never ceases to amaze me and make me smile throughout my day. So it is the partnership of partnerships that we really all seek. And we're very fortunate to find a partnership that supports us in the way that we've learned to support ourselves, that can share in the love that we are, and revel in the love that we share. So falling in love is easy. It's easy. The more you appreciate every day, like I say, from the moment you get up and realize that you wouldn't even be alive without that being coming back to wake you up each day. And as you go to bed at night, it's nice to appreciate everything from the day. and giving thanks to that spirit one more time for a tremendous day of awakening, even if it's a day of healing, thanking the spirit for the love of healing, for the love that gives you the ability to heal. And so you learn through appreciation of the self, that you fall in love with it so easily. It's never been an issue, not for a long time. When I realized that it is the love within me that is it. There's nowhere to go. Sovereign is a way that people are, some people are coming into more than others, recognizing themselves as the source of everything in their lives, not just the love they are and the love that they extend to others from that love, but that spirit, that loving being, is the source of your prosperity. And it's the source of your joy, and it's the source of your creativity, and it's really the source of everything. And when you really learn to create your reality from that place, there's really nothing more you could possibly want. It just all kind of comes to you. And you get to be more prolifically creative and have more fun and share that with more people and keep expanding. It's the nature of love, to expand. I have found that the love of human is very limiting, very, very conditional. And people would say, observing my life, not knowing how to be that love for themselves, that it would appear to be isolated, or it would appear to be lonely, but it is truly anything but. When you realize that all your friends are invisible, and those are the ones that truly love you, and that they're not separate from you, they're aspects of the whole of who you are, then you're never alone and you're never without, and there's never lack and there's never want. There is being and sharing from that place. And so from the source of that love that I am, I call forth everything from that source. And have fun with what it continually brings me in my co-creation with the divine. Let's see here. As we move farther into the evolution of our consciousness at this time, becoming one with the love of self is something people could give a little more attention to as things become perhaps less and less easy to access. We are being called at this time to rely on our source more than we are to rely on what the world has given us. The world gives you nothing in truth, and spirit gives you everything. So why not start looking at the source? It's a little uncomfortable for people who aren't used to managing their realities in this way. It's not everybody's way, but it is a great thing to play with, so you can show yourself just how capable you are of being this magical, loving being that you are, that learns to rely on itself and let spirit give it to you. Let spirit show you how much you're loved by asking for it and receiving it. More often than not, I'm receiving things way before I even know I need them. And then you get things in retrospect. But when we look at this example of COVID with self-healing, you know, there's in so many ways people have interpreted it, and I respect everyone's way for interpreting it. And I myself had my own way of interpreting it for me. And of course, we have to push everything out that everyone else is saying, and don't watch the news and don't look at the science. And for me personally, it's too much. I can't handle any of that. I just can't handle it. I just have to keep going within And I've learned to trust this loving source within me to make the decisions that I've made for me. And so, but relying on this love to heal you, not only emotionally, but to realize that in the healing of the emotional energy, the lightening up of the physical body actually occurs. The physical and emotional body are produced, they're grown at the same time. The emotional energy is just part of coming into the form. You come into form, guess what? You're absorbing emotional energy from everywhere, because energy is everything, and energy, and everything is energy. So in this dimension, in this world, physical and emotional reality are formed together. So you transform the emotional energy in the physical body with the love that you are, which is the only thing I've found lasting, by the way. There's a lot of things you can do for healing, but the only thing I've found lasting has been self-healing. This isn't limited to just little things. This has been big things I've come to heal within myself. Dramatic, what do you call it? Symptoms. But alas, nothing's there but the energy that I have to continually transform within the physical body. So the symptoms subside, they go away. But we still don't know what was there. Well, they don't know what was there, but I know what was there because I'm forced to go in and transform the energy. So to learn the art of self-healing through self-love is really more than just this thought. It's more than a concept. It's really something that we have the ability to do. I don't need to prove that to myself any more than I already have. The only thing I need to do, or I don't need to do anymore, but it's to get it. It happens again and again to where you don't think you can doubt it, and then it comes up, and then doubt comes in, and then you finally just let go of the doubt, going whatever. So in cases like COVID and things like that, it's wonderful to begin to relate to the physical body and the emotional body as the love that they actually are. Earlier in what I was telling you in my story, when I brought the consciousness of Yeshua, the Christ energy, into the form, the physical and emotional bodies initially don't know how to respond. It's something new. They don't realize that they too are light, and you're only going to have a normal human experience of your physical body if you don't make the light that it is conscious within it. So you have to make it conscious within you. It just doesn't happen because you know it. And so I've been doing this for enough years that I think maybe one day when I'm just no longer here, I'm just vaporized. I just want to transform my whole being, into the consciousness that it is becoming more and more all the time. But you have to make the consciousness within it conscious. So when you transform emotional energy within the physical body, with the love that you are, you reclaim the soul as it doesn't know itself to be. The soul is different than the spirit. The soul is emotional energy. It is divided. The soul is left when the body dies, and the spirit is all of everything. So the transformation, the reclamation of the soul births the light within your body as a result. And so the emotional energy becomes less and less and less within you, and thus lightens up the form itself. And so the body will go through adjustments as you make this light conscious within it. But it's a great way to begin to address yourself, think of yourself, know yourself, feel yourself, and experience yourself as the consciousness of love, because that's when you can really bend reality on a physical level. Somebody I know went and got boosted, and I'm all excited for them, and they had other great things happening, and it was within hours of that. And I went up and I gave them a big hug and a kiss, and the next day we had plans to do some things, and I just said, oh no, there's no way I'm going to be able to go anywhere. And so for almost a month I cycled through these various stages of whatever it was. I lost my taste and smell. I didn't panic about anything because I looked at my physical body and what it was going through as exactly the way I would address anything else. And that would be through seeing and feeling it, my body as consciousness, and being with it and speaking to it on that level as I was going through the physical motions of it. And so, I mean, I don't even remember like about the first 4 or 5 days, because I didn't go to panic. I just went inside. And so I gave myself a makeshift raindrop therapy. Got a crystal bed session and just went in bed for about 4 days and went through the cycles of the fever and the whole thing, and just took care of myself and talked to myself as my physical body, as the love that it is, the consciousness that it is, and thanked God for my perfect health and addressed myself in this way. And nothing really stuck. It took a while before it all let go, and it went through all the motions of it, but I know that it was because of the way that I was dealing with it on the level of truth that I could over that time, over that month's time, that it was what really brought me around with such ease and such grace. And so that's just another example of the many things that I've gone through physically within my body to continue to transform. And so self-love can really do that. And it begins again with making the light within you conscious. It's one thing to know that your body's made of light, but it's an entirely different thing to experience yourself as that light. And it is really wonderful, because when you see yourself as the light you are, and you're visualizing your muscles and everything within you as the love that it is, you begin to have this whole different relationship with it. It's very, very intimate. You fall in love with the magnificence of this being that is alive within every particle of every molecule of who you are, not just in the spiritual and mental bodies, but in the emotional and physical themselves. And so for me, it's just like the state of ecstasy that you gain in this intimate relationship with your physical body. In the work we do with homes, we find the same experience, because a home is like a body. This is my holy temple, and it houses the spirit and the love of God, and it's made of the same stuff, made of the same light. And so when we work with homes, we work at transforming a home in the same way. The emotional energy of just living and life and people and dramas and sickness and children and jobs and losing jobs and COVIDs and you name it, life, just all this emotional energy, fills up a home. And then the home begins to break down like a physical body. The emotional energy breaks down the physical body just like it does a house. It becomes denser. And then it'll eventually become a manifest on a physical level as the disease that we experience. And so we're coming into a whole host of new things that we've known for a while, but now is really the time when we can experience them much quicker than we could before. I tell people that it's not going to take you like more than half your life, like it has me, to get to this point in my evolution. Consciousness is such today that we can experience these things much easier, much easier. Energy supports these times of self-love, self-healing, and sovereignty. I encourage people to think about, what if you can't get to somebody? What if you can't? When something is taken away from you, like a medication, or not even a medication, a supplement, let's say, because that's not so drastic of a feeling. Say you've been taking probiotics your whole life because you have this physical condition. Now, what happens if you can't get that probiotic anymore? Then you realize how much power you give to that probiotic, because that's what we're taught. We're taught outside in. And it is really the time to discover inside out. Because if you can't get that probiotic that you've convinced yourself you have to have for that physical condition, then you're limited to that probiotic to address that physical condition. And so it takes a few minutes a day. And sometimes if it gets to a point where it becomes some sort of a physical manifestation, you spend more than a few minutes a day. But a few minutes a day and a way of visualizing yourself and experience yourself and talking to yourself, all you have to do is tell your inner being, this loving being, that you want to experience that as the part of your reality framework. And that's what I did when I was introduced to these tools. I told my spirit, because I'm kind of fiery, and I said, hey, okay, so if that's what you're telling me is true, I'm not apt to believe it. I want that to be part of my experience. That's what I tell myself. I don't want to just know that. I want to experience that. I want to know that. It has to be part of what is real for me. It has to become that in my life. And so to experience something like that, it takes a little bit of, first the desire and then the determination to say, yes, I want that. I want that experience. Otherwise, we become limited. So you say, all right, what is it? Supply chain problems with that probiotic. So you say, all right, well, you know what? We got to get to the truth now. All right, so the probiotic was fun, and now it's time for me to shift myself to believe, to know, and to really know that, you can imagine that probiotic in your stomach every day. You can actually imagine yourself taking that pill every day, and, you are the placebo. Somebody even wrote a book like that, that you are the placebo. And so it's really how we relate to ourselves and to everything else, and then you realize there is no other. And so it's just ways we've been taught through our conditioning and our generations to give our power away. We give it away to everything, and this is a way that you can be more self-reliant, with a capital S, relying on the love of self to continue to help you move through life, to keep expressing from these levels of love and sharing your expressions with people in the world, everywhere you can, every way you can. I mean, I look at Dottie, right? I mean, my gosh, she went through some stuff, and her spirit is undying. That's why her body keeps going. It has nothing to do with anything she can put in it. I mean, I hope she's still eating donuts. Somebody here might have been eating. I have been having these food things lately where they come into my experience, and it's related to someone else. So I don't know, but anyhow, so that goes back to, you can really eat what you want as long as you aren't hooked up with the problem that food will cause you. But again, self-love will eliminate all these ways we've learned to give our power away to things. And it also, helps us realize that there is no one way to do anything. And that, like, I just listen to what my body wants to eat. I don't care. And I realized that for me, that all these things in the world that my body really has a hard time processing is because my body is not designed to process them, so just listen to what your body wants and give it what it wants. What are you going to do? You're going to fight all these GMO people? You're going to fight the way everything is? Or are you just going to see that peach as the light that it is, as the consciousness that it is, and eat it consciously on that level, as no separation between you and that peach? How could it possibly hurt you? I want to get that good at this. I just do. I just want to be able to, nothing can affect me in that way. I feel I have a few years left anyway, that I can have that to be my experience. I want that to be part of my experience. And self-love is really the key for that. We, through so many years of this practice and teaching so many people and working with people who have, played around with the tools, very few people really make it the way that they live. But we have seen some really interesting things over the years that have shown me, not only within myself, but within a shadow of a doubt, that patterns change so quickly, so quickly. I have a workshop that I love to do live, and I can do it over Zoom, but it is the art of self-healing. And it works more with people. You need 2 people to do it, but we show people how to work with them. And what's great about it, you need a massage table, is that when you get people to lie down, they automatically go into relax mode. And so that's a better way to learn to work with people. And I had this kid who, he was one of my youngest students at the time. He was like 20 years old, and he was really old. He was real old school with me with this work. These kids these days, right? They come in and they just know it. And it was helping him to transform some energy in his head that was around his ears, because when he was small, he couldn't really hear, and the adults around him didn't really know that. And so he went unchecked, and there was a lot of frustration. There was a lot of other emotions in his ear canals in his head as a result. And we really didn't, think about it. I don't think about much anyway, but he did this class and went through this process of really proving to himself in this one class he did in that this is really what happens and how quickly it can be healed. So on the Saturday that we did this workshop at East West, he worked with this really great person who was in body working already. And I'm glad that the tools got passed to him. And so he worked with him a little bit. And the next day I got a text, and he said, "Wow, I have an earache." And I'm like, "Oh, that's great." Because when you transform emotional energy in the physical body with the vibration of love, the body can't hold on to it like it did, right? So the energy's been transformed. Enough of it obviously was transformed to have it create a physical response to let him know that, hey, you've done some great work here. And so, and then Sunday comes along, and Monday comes along, and he says, Sunday comes along, and he goes, "No, I think I have a full-blown ear infection." And I said, "Oh, great." And he goes, "Well, I'm going to the doctor on Monday." And I'm like, "Excellent, go get a Z-Pack and keep golden light, keep loving that." And Monday rolls around, and he says, "Well, they gave me a Z-Pack." And I said, "Okay, great, then take what you got to." Well, by Tuesday he was in the hospital, and he had these, what do you call it, lymph nodes were swollen, and they had to drain them. And he wasn't panicked at all. I have the cutest picture of him on my phone. His mom went to the hospital and brought his favorite blanket. He's just sitting there like, this is the best stuff in the world. And he called me up and just said he was in a lot of pain on the day, and he just couldn't eat and everything. He was in a lot of distress. And so we did a session, and the next morning he got up and walked out of the hospital and just said, I don't need to do this anymore. But over the course of a few days, he went from this emotional energy that had been in his head for so long, all of 21 years, that, he was able to transform a huge amount of that energy and process through it in the ways that we recommended, and brought himself full circle. And he was just thrilled. He was pain-free the next day, got up and walked out of that hospital. So with souls that know this work, it's much easier for them to pick it back up and have these huge transformative experiences almost instantaneously. For those of us that have been doing it for a while, we just don't view anything the same way. We just kind of go with it. The one thing about the consciousness of love, or Jesus as most people call it, is Yeshua as I know it, is the fact of non-resistance. You can't say that it's love if you got resistance going on within it. You just can't. It doesn't, nothing matters. Like, love doesn't even care. It just loves. It's just this presence that is, and everything is affected by it. There's nothing to do. And it's the most beautiful thing, because everything around it will change of its own free will. There's nothing more that needs to happen. And when I work with people now, there's the meditations and the work that I've done has evolved as I have evolved over the years. And so we work more with people now, not so much in the meditation experience, which was really appropriate for the days that we were learning it. I mean, we're talking not that long ago, folks. And the consciousness, all of you I know are aware that 1990, it was like something shifted. Well, it's the harmonic convergence, which I got my wake-up call like 88, but just boom, hammer down. Everything's just been pedal to the metal ever since. And the evolution of ourselves, our consciousness, the tools that accompany these things, they're all in the process of evolution. The old way is not going to work in today's way. It's just not. And so I don't care whether you're in acupuncture or whether you're in yoga or anything, these things, all these modalities are in the process of evolving. And if they don't evolve with the consciousness of the time, then they're going to be sitting back here spinning their wheels and being very limited in their ability to serve. So it's a pretty fascinating time to live in. But the non-resistance factor is really key. It's absolutely key. When people have these instant healings, these miracles they call them, it's really when they let go enough to let the love within them heal them, because there's only one source of healing, and that's the God within you. So nothing happens other than you let go enough to let it happen. So when you start realizing you're really that powerful and that love is that powerful within you, then just work on letting go when something dramatic comes up. The only thing I recommend people do in their day-to-day is when they're not working to do anything they can to be out of their head. Hot baths, long walks, passion flower, herb, whatever you got to do, just singing, dancing, anything to just not be thinking, anything to be in your receptive mode. We work with people now in meditating for maybe 7 minutes, very short meditation, just enough to straighten things out. But then there is a way that we show people how to work more consciously with the love of being. And so when we come to a close in this tonight, I'd like to take about 15 minutes and give you an example of an experience of that, so you can really feel the love within you, maybe in a way you haven't felt it before. The inner being of love, I use the analogy of it like being a sphere. And so you have this orb of light that gives you life within you, but we're not taught when we're little that being literally belongs in the whole of your body. It belongs all the way down below your feet. And so earlier in what I was reading to you is how I described my half-empty holy temple. The spirit in me was only occupying half of the body, which is the mental spiritual realms, where in the old days, many of us know this because my days began in channeling, is where everything happens for you, up here. But when you bring the love light, or the golden light that you're made of, down into the whole of your form and learn to hold it under your feet and change the program. You have to tell your spirit that's what you want to experience. Me knowing myself, I have to get all, I just tell it, look, you need to be down below my feet. We're changing the program. I have to be strong with me. I know how to deal with myself, but other people may need to do it more gently. But, I tell it that, when I wake up in the morning and I'm going through my Moda'ana, it's, all right, so I need you down below my feet to, every waking moment of my day. And then it's up to me to continue to be conscious of when my spirit is not there. So now it's much easier to catch it when it's maybe drifting above my ankles. Maybe when it's above my calves, and then I just bring it to the floor, take a deep golden light breath, and let it settle back all the way in the form. The reason people have such a hard time in the world, and when I talk about the world, I'm talking about the world of duality, and that's the normal human experience, the world of energy, good and bad, which love is not. It's just within everything. So it's how you live above the fray in this divided world, in the world not of. We've all heard that, right? Well, that's exactly what it's talking about. And so when your bubble of being, this loving being, is drifting halfway out of your form, your physical body, where this emotional energy resides, has resonance. And so it's picking up on everything else that's in resonance with it. And people go, I'm an empath, I can't handle it. And I'm like, shit, if I didn't make peace with that a long time ago, I'd have been dead so long ago. Just overwhelmed to the max. And there are ways you can learn. I teach people to manage their energy. They don't realize that's the source of their anxiety. is that, the spirit enters the body when you take your first breath, the consciousness I'm referring to, the higher consciousness of you. And if it is hovering above the solar plexus all the time, the body goes into panic mode, because the normal human experience is that the body is freaking out that the spirit is so far out of the form that it knows if the spirit is severed from the body's going to die. So the body goes into panic mode, trying to what? Re-inhale that spirit. And so it's trying to recapture what's going to keep the life within it. And so that's all a panic attack is. And when people learn that and really work consciously with their being, then they're keeping themselves buffered from the energy of the world. And it's not in a resistant way, because love is not resistant. It just is. It's a buffer. You're still aware of how you feel, because resonance you're gonna feel it buzzing or something in your physical body in resonance, but you're not going to be reacting to it. And that's the big difference. And so it just keeps you contained in the presence of your loving being. Now, what I've found for myself over these many years of working with this, that there's no part of you that will not come to love. There are some parts that are more resistant to that love, but there's only one thing that can happen in the unwavering presence of love, and that's transformation. That's it. The more you make love conscious within you, the less anything can stay in that vibration. It has to transform and become the truth of itself, or it has to leave your experience. And what I mean by leaving your experience is when people say they have a spirit attachment, which is the wrong use of words. Spirits don't attach to you, souls attach to you, and souls are the lower vibrating frequencies that people call ghosts, which don't even exist. Ghosts are actually just emotional energy of a soul that's been left here. That's what past lives are all about too. We just leave the emotional energy here, we come back into form, and they catch up with us, and we're all fascinated with ourselves, right? So it's to make peace with those past lives is to also transform the emotional energy we left here before. So in resonance, we're being affected by everything. So when we stay contained in this beautiful golden bubble of being, we make that love light conscious, we make it available consistently. And within the form, emotional energy will kind of transform on its own. So when we talk about something leaving your experience, we talk about some sort of soul or energy, emotional energy that attached itself to you in resonance. You just picked it up along your trail, as they say, and then it magnified the energy through you, and you believe you're possessed. Well, you're only possessed by your own energy. It's just that it's all the same type of thing. You're just becoming more animated with it because it is amplifying in your experience. One good thing to know too about they talk about keeping your vibration high, so you're not experiencing that. Well, why don't you just be the love that you are, and you won't have to avoid anything. You just hold yourself in that bubble of love, and you're going to be fine, because you're contained in the presence of your being, this non-resistant being that is aware of things but doesn't care. It just keeps loving, and it's not going out to try to love something that doesn't want love. It just keeps loving self, radiating self-love, love from the self. And people come out to the East Coast and they're not used to the East Coast. We go down to the city or something, I'm like, just don't look, keep walking. It's kind of like how you address everything. You don't look around. You just don't look around. It's this non-resistant way of being. There are ways you can train yourself to not be so focused on what's happening out here. The mind wants to go to see something wrong with something so we can perhaps do something for it. And if it isn't asking for it, don't try to give it, because that's where you get into trouble. Yeah, you just don't. I just, the way I learned to train my mind from what would have been before an automatic negative response or a judgment or something is to just be aware of something and say, God bless you. And somehow in those words, there's no room for that judgment to even take place. It's not like you say, God bless you, and then you judge them. It's just that something happens. It's something magic in those words that just diffuses the whole situation. And so we have to deal with the mind and how it has become divided through the the lack of the awareness of love that we are raised with. We believe it's all outside of us and we have to go get it somewhere. And that's another way that we're taught to rely and depend upon the external reality for things that we really create for ourselves. So working with that golden bubble of your being is actually kind of fun, because you got to be working with it all the time. When you become this cooperative component, as Laura's very familiar with this terminology, then there's all kinds of ways that you can cooperate with it. And so if you're in the game, if you make it a game to keep it down below your feet, to have the experience of walking around in the orb of your being, then you get to know the subtle clues of what's going on. If you're just ever standing there, I mean, energy is everywhere. Energy doesn't dissipate. That's a scientific fact. I mean, thought forms, everything you've ever thought negatively, everything you've ever said negatively, everything you've ever whatever is floating around everywhere. And so the transformation of your own emotional energy is helping to lighten you up and reclaim the light of the soul from past lives when you were here, so you kind of can leave the planet leaving as little behind as possible. That's why we have so much problems on the planet, is in terms of the way the energy works in the world. It's just a whole lot of stuff we've left here before, and we didn't even know we did it. So now we have the tools, we have the consciousness, and we have the time, for heaven's sake, to just love ourselves more and take everything with us transformed, you know, or leave it all here. As say, leave all the love here, just like Yeshua did. You know, he left in a sense and didn't leave it all. I did find out that it is a truth for me that everything is made of love here. Everything is made from that consciousness. That's why it can be transformed back to it. The truth that emerged from within the love of my being is the source of love itself. It's the life-giving source of love itself. So people believe they have to go to a higher place to all of this. Well, that higher truth is within that love. And I think there's a lot of things that have been said over the years that make sense, like that makes sense now, that sounded different as I was indoctrinated into Catholic Church growing up. What was it like? You have to be perfect to enter the kingdom of heaven, or some crap like that, right? You know, and I feel that now, you know, learning to love myself and reclaiming the light of the soul and these shadowy places within me is kind of what it meant. You know, this is the only reason why love is here. Do you know humans are the only thing that require love? Everything else just kind of knows it's love, and animals even know their love until humans get involved. Then they get confused. You know? It's real interesting. The humans are just the only thing that need love. And it was, the consciousness was brought here to bring us out, to help us transform our way out of the way we're taught that the world is, out of the division that is in our mind and hearts, just by how we're brought into this world of form. And so, you know, I have not found one thing that couldn't transform. And like I say, it's the only tool that I found that is actually lasting. I mean, I went through years of channeling and going through these huge awakenings and stuff like that, but there was this black cloud that was over my head. And I'm like, what the heck is this black cloud? It's like all this stuff I know. And I really kind of walk lightly around people that go, but you're telling me this, and I've been doing this for all these years. And I'm like, hey, I've been there. I know. But, you know, you don't have to do it either. All I'm saying is that I found for myself that after I got over my resistance and then started utilizing it, that I was able to transform what was continuing to create that black cloud over my head. And, you know, you can't, yeah, you can change matter, you can change the solid more with consciousness, but you can't do it with anything else. It's more than just a frequency too. I think there's a lot of tools out there, and people are, you know, this is the resonance, but I find it not lasting. The consciousness of love has to be present within the experience, and the person has to let go in order for it to happen, has to be able to receive it. Let's see. So you can have fun. You can have fun with your being. If you're making the fact that you're doing everything with it anyway conscious, then your experience becomes a lot more fun, whether it's painting, whether it's making a cup of coffee, whether it's getting out of bed in the morning, taking a shower, getting ready for your day and the enthusiasm that you feel, or preparing for tonight's talk. It's all just fun, 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 fun. And so that's how you fall in love with the love of being, with the love of self. I don't think that a lot of people give themselves enough credit. I think they think they do more than they do. And because we tend to judge ourselves, becomes a source of our own feeling of never enough. So if you're counting on the human to do more instead of realizing that if you just become a cooperative component to your spirit and let it play, just be the vehicle that you're expressing with, then you'll feel more than the human that you're giving yourself credit for. And then you realize that, you're not as human as you think you are at all. Did anybody have any questions? No, it's kind of a mouthful, but.
It's amazing, Siobhan. It's amazing. And I want to ask, how does your daily practice inform you to continue to be in this state?
Okay, so I get up in the morning, just like everybody else, and the first thing I do is I'm thrilled because I just love waking up first thing and going into my Moda Ana for myself, Moda Ana, and saying good morning to my spirit and all this stuff. And sometimes there are thought forms and things that are around everywhere. Sometimes I'll get something, I'll go, no, no, no. So we have to say, create a way to speak to whatever shows up that is floating around that we happen to be receiving, and just let it know that it too is love. So I wake up in the morning, and the way that I know, what was the question? How do I know when what?
No, just how do you invite the day in?
Oh, that's how I invite it. Yeah.
Right.
Coffee.
And then we have a question from Carol here. How to bring that love in?
Into your body? Well, we're going to do a little bit of that, Carol, at the end of this, but you work with it, like we said earlier, as seeing your loving being as a golden orb. It's just a big ball of light. Sometimes people think that it just fits like a glove in your body, but it doesn't. It literally, when we work with the orb later on this evening, you'll see how you can imagine and feel this beautiful sphere of light coming down into the form, and it's already somewhat in the form. Most people have this light hovering just above the solar plexus. The bulk of your emotional energy is below the solar plexus, and most people do not like to go there. They're so afraid of what's going to happen because their normal experience of what is down there is really super highly emotional, or or really down in the dumps. And so emotions are actually different than feelings, and that's pretty old news, that feelings are what people tend to gloss over to identify them with the mind, and that when you're reacting to a feeling, then it sets that energy in motion. So you imagine that golden bubble of light filling the spine. So when it comes, this huge sphere is coming down deeper in the body, it's usually already illumined the spine from the crown chakra to right about above the solar plexus. And when the sphere continues to come down into the body, we want to see the whole of the spine filled up with golden light, and then you can feel it radiating in all directions. And so we'll show you how to to work with keeping it in the form. You can tell when it's not there, again, because you're going to be feeling a lot of the energy of the world if you're not. And so all I trained myself to do was to just drop the field. When I feel something going on, I don't ask myself, gee, where's my energy right now? I just drop it. Just drop it. It's like this bubble that will hit the floor. And it just hits the floor, and you take a nice deep breath. You always want to bring the breath in afterward, just to reinforce the fact that it is within the form, and then you can expand it from there. And so in a meditation, I do a very small one in the morning. So I get up, like you say, Moda Ana, give thanks for my spirit in the day. I decide how I'm going to have my day. I'm just going to be feeling great. And sometimes I just bound out of bed and head straight for the coffee. And sometimes I just lie in bed and I kind of roll around what I'll be doing for the day, like these different things that I have going on. I'm just kind of feeling into one over here, feeling into one over here, feeling, and getting different answers to things, questions. I don't know. So I'm dialoguing in my mind, not really dialoguing, but I'm getting answers. I'm listening, and they're just showing me things. And so I'm kind of incommunicado, and then I get up and I make coffee. So coffee's the first thing. I mean, that's just it. I think that's the magic juice for any day. Don't let anybody tell you any different. So I get up and I have coffee, and then I go straight to my office. I just kind of let myself be inspired. There's not a whole lot of thinking at all that goes on. I don't want to think. I just don't want to think because it makes me crazy. It really does. For me to think about anything, nope, nope, nope. So just working with staying, you know, feeling the presence of my inner being is very important to me. If I'm not inspired, I'm not really connected, and not being inspired is probably the worst feeling in the world for me. You know, I don't know, it just is. Because inspiration is everything, and inspiration is inspired, inspirited. So, you know, feeling the presence of being is what it is. So then I just, you know, come in to go to work. It's not too often that I go out and run errands. It's like I just sit for a while. I just listen. It's all about listening. There's no thinking. When you work with the inner being and keeping it down below your feet, all this stuff from your head kind of settles down. It comes down farther in the aura. How I describe it is I have all these whirling balls of energy that I used to have up here in my, you know, and I was told years ago that, you know, I had all these things happening, but they needed to be brought farther down in my experience in order for me to bring it down and birth them into this dimension. Otherwise, they just stay as thoughts or whatever. And so the more that I learned to get grounded over the years and stay in that presence of being, the more that I realized that these balls of energy are more midline now. You learn to listen. Like everything I get is from the silence. There are really not words. I'm interpreting something, but it's silent. I'm interpreting my being, but there are no words that precede what I'm saying. It doesn't happen that way. There's only a few times I've ever heard the voice of my inner being, like audibly, and that's when they're telling me to, they get pretty stern with me sometimes, you know, but it's not very often that I get that audible voice, but when they mean business, they mean business. So then I just salute and carry on. But yeah, so that's kind of my day. So I kind of bubble around, and I don't know how it goes. I can't even tell you how a day goes. I go down these wormholes of inspiration, of things that I'm getting together. So they're all working themselves out somehow. It's like I don't have to think about it because I have a line on it. My spirit's got a line on it. My spirit's working on it. I have this over here, 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 this over here. So, and then, you know, they just reveal information as I'm on a need to know basis, as I say. So I'll put something together, and then it'll be another bit of inspiration to change that the next day. I just keep listening for the information that keeps being revealed to me as to what I am to do next. So I don't know, it's just the way of being. And the more that you can get out of the head by being in the body completely, the more information that you have access to. And it's such a, oh God, it's so relaxing. I mean, it's like, I remember the days the mind would just ride me around crazy, and that's where I ran all my energy. But when you really learn the value of evening it out, so all of you is working together. You function as a streamlined unit. You don't one or the other, one or the other. You just, it's just different. So my head isn't driving me nuts anymore, and I'm not running myself around and obsessing about things. And if you know, that energy ever comes into that way, then I know that there's deeper healing. There's, you know, something within me that's creating this here. And so it's important to sit down at those times and kind of get a bead on, you know, not as a thought process, but a feeling process of what's happening. Because I'm inundated a lot. I mean, there's a lot that I pick up on. Very, very subtle things too, but then there are some pretty outrageous things I pick up on too. So to be able to sift that out, we're all receiving mechanisms, right? And emitting mechanisms. Well, you know, if you're a television and you're not grounded, what are you going to get? A whole bunch of static. You know, when you're grounded, you receive even more, but you're stabilized in your being. So it's not like you're going crazy being overwhelmed. The only time I get overwhelmed is if there's too much coming at me and I'm not grounded enough to receive it clearly. I need to, you know, work with that being. So there's ways, there's indicators you learn to become aware of. Self-awareness is huge when you're in your body too. The way you become more self-aware is wonderful, because when you're really present to everything you're saying, everything you're thinking, and everything you're doing, then you can also check yourself. It's like I said earlier in what I was reading about my story, is that the self-awareness, you know, keeps me in check from my ego self. So I'm aware in the moment of why I'm doing what I'm doing, which is important to me. Very important to me, especially because of the lives I've been here where I've been the best of the worst. And so making peace and transforming all of that, that I was holding myself in contempt for, back to the light that it is, you reclaim the power within the being as well. And so there's a huge responsibility to possess the whole of knowing. And you really, you know, for me anyway, it's very important. So self-awareness, though, is the people go, oh my God, like you got to be heightened awareness and beating yourself up all the time. That's not what we mean at all. Self-awareness is a way that you become aware of everything you think, say, and do for one reason only. And that's just to be able to love yourself more. Because when you can catch yourself and you've learned to love yourself so much that you no longer have judgment for the mistakes that you will make, or the you know, the thoughts that get away from you or something like that, like who cares, right? It's not like you're the only one in the world that's doing it. You know, to take responsibility for that and know that it's okay. You got to love yourself more. Why? It all comes down to the why. Why am I doing that? What feeling within me am I ignoring that created that response in external reality? And then you go find that part of you that's feeling whatever it is, and transform it into the love that it is not knowing itself to be at the time. And even when you stay in the presence of your inner being, then it just, like I say, it can transform automatically the energies that are ready to go. There is a meditation on my website called the Sovereign Baptism of Love, where you get all contained in the love of God, and then you open the font within the sacred heart in your heart. And then as you're sitting there without forethought and radiating the love of being through every particle of every level, every molecule of you, you just call forth any part of you that is ready to be reborn in this love, because you literally are, everything can become reborn in that love. So, you know, I've seen little, they look within my aura, they look like, not like cartoon characters, but like not stick figures. I don't know how to describe it, like some sort of shadow template. Anyway, so I've seen my kid just drag herself up there like she's tired and just dropping in herself in the heart, you know, the font of love, and just ready to go. And then there'd be a part of me that's certainly not ready to go, the child in me who's, you know, got her fingers on this seemingly clear, I don't know, like I've seen it like a cylinder within me, right? You know how kids put their faces on the window and stuff like that, and she's being all defiant, like, I'm just not, you know, I'm just like, okay, whatever, you know, love doesn't care, it just loves, right? So, you know, all these different parts of, you know, me showing up. Some are ready to go, some are tired, some have had enough. It doesn't really matter. And then you'll be aware of the parts that aren't ready to come to love, and that's okay too. So whatever. Love's there. It's always been there. It's always going to be there. And when you're ready, we'll be here. Yes.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So in the beginning of your talk, when you were talking about your journey, you referred to different parts of yourselves as we.
Mm-hmm.
So were you talking about the conscious, the subconscious?
Okay, so after working with myself with the golden light for years, what emerged from within the love is the consciousness of we.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the consciousness of when the sword of truth emerged from within the love. That is the spirit that gives love life. It's what people call white light, what people call pure spirit. And this is what I was channeling to access from a totally different place before, but it revealed itself coming from the love within me. And then I became we. So no longer am I, singled out. I'm we, working together consciously. We, the spirit within the love of me, which is another level of self.
Okay.
So there is nothing separate within it. It was just language kind of separates it out, I know, but it's the best we could do. And people wonder that too. They're not used to hearing, like, why are you we? I'm like, because I don't, we is it. Yeah, the sword just emerged at a time when I had done enough work with the love. Love is actually a step on your evolutionary path. It is not the end result. Because the sword of truth, as I discovered within me after loving myself so completely for so long, that I don't need to be loved by another. I don't need the love of humans. I don't need the love of a man. I don't need the love of my family. I don't need that. And the word need is too prevalent in spiritual communities and people. Need means lack. And there's no one lacking a thing.
Wow.
And, people say we need each other. It's like, hey, if I can help you, that's great, but I'm not going to help you in your need. There's not going to be that way I see you. And this is a very religiously imposed way of giving. You should and you have to help the person that is in need. Well, how about this? Give to them because you want to give to them from the love that you want to extend and for no other reason. Because when you see someone more impoverished than you put them beneath you instead of bringing them up to the same equal within your heart on this, the even playing field within your heart. You give to their need instead of their prosperity. But how about this? I mean, when you realize that giving to a homeless person is fabulous, when you give it to them, just say, I am so glad that you called this prosperity forth through me, because they're calling forth millions of dollars through people and things that they want. And there is nothing lacking about these people. They're just pulling their prosperity through others in a different way. One man's simplicity is another man's lack. And when we look at somebody in their need, we create a whole nother version of them that is not truthful. They're creating all this prosperity through us to give them the soup kitchens and give them the food. There are more people that suffer by looking at homeless people than the people that are homeless are actually suffering. Because there's many of them that are, as all of you know, because God bless you in your work, have seen so many people that are more disconnected from their experience than we feel it. Like we suffer more than they're actually suffering within their own experience. And thank God for the drugs that make that possible, even though that is part of their condition. I mean, yeah. Some people have mental illness, so they're not all there. Doesn't mean you don't give them a sandwich or a blanket or something. It just means you don't give it to them seeing them in lack. You give it to them seeing them in their prosperity, and the vibration of the giving is changed. It's pretty cool because they feel the difference in the energy of the giving.
Wow.
How I would feel awful if someone was always seeing me as in need, because they can imagine themselves on the journey that Spirit has put you on. They're not giving to you because they want to and they want to have fun and you're just there, blah, 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 blah. They're seeing you in need. That's a horrible feeling. So empower their prosperity. Yay. Changes is a game changer, total game changer. Yeah.
So it is like envisioning them and their wholeness and seeing their wholeness in real time And you're
Yeah,
just
well,
sharing a moment of love.
yeah, Yeshua never healed anyone by seeing them in their sickness. He saw them as whole, and in that they were healed. There's no difference. When I give somebody $5 as a homeless person, I'm like, thank you for calling this forth for me, because it makes me feel good to contribute to you. They're literally calling forth their prosperity through you. You know how we get clients and people come to us? We're creating that. We're bringing that to us. We create everything. Our spirit creates everything. We're creator beings. And so when we're calling it forth, it's coming to us, and they're calling forth their food and their clothes and all this great stuff through all the people who care so much about them, who want to see them, who want to empower their prosperity, I would like to think. So it's just a way, that you see people, and we're taught to do things because we shouldn't have to. And that was my mother. No, thank you. We should and we have to. That is such a burden, don't you think? Because if you're doing something you don't want to do because you should, that never feels good. Then it's always a sacrifice. It's, when you're giving from ego, that's what it is, anything that edges God out. When you're giving from ego to somebody else, then there's this reciprocity that's not happening. And love gives like this. The love that you see in their eyes from their appreciation of you honoring their prosperity, and blah, 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 comes back into your heart. It just keeps rolling like that. And you see the difference in their faces, for those who can appreciate that. So.
It reminds me of a statement that I've often said, the infinity of giving and receiving. Yeah. So just that infinity flow, and how wonderful it is to feel that flow. So.
Give because you want to, because, I went through that whole thought process many years ago, because I had a sister who killed herself, and she was a drug addict, and she drank sometimes, and it was a horrible situation. And so I think I went to go see her social worker. I think this was after she killed herself, actually. I went in to get her autopsy file. I wanted to make sure she wasn't murdered. And I know what to look for in those cases. So I went and got the autopsy file, and I was walking down the steps, and I'm seeing this guy, just really downtrodden, just really drugged out or whatever. And here I was judging him, right? So this is how I got my lesson in that a while ago. I was looking at him, thinking to myself, judging him in my mind, thinking, I would give you money, but you'll just go get drugs and alcohol with it anyway. Well, then I got a hold of myself later and said, snap out of it. Give to this guy because you want to give to him, but don't judge him. Period. If you don't want to give, then don't give. Don't have a thought about it one way or another. If you're inspired to give, and give it from that inspiration, which is love. Just don't judge experience. And then I had to look at myself, and I'm, years later into my healing, I was thinking, gee whiz, thank God for the drugs that I had at the time that I used them. And thank you for the alcohol, and thank you for the cigarettes that kept, all these things keep you alive. And in a lot of cases, until you can come to terms with it in some way or another. It's, if I didn't have cigarettes, I don't know what my emotional state would have been, because they were very calming to me. And when I wanted to give them up, I worked with Archangel Michael. And one day I woke up, boom, never smoked again. All these things that I did for fun were really killing pain that I wasn't even aware that was there. Because it wasn't from a place of, it was different. I was a perfect model of society, according to society's standards, with a lot of, habits that I had that were just killing pain that I just kept a lid on. And I think to myself, wow, if I didn't have that, I wonder how I would have coped. I didn't even know I was coping, right? I just would have worked more probably, but you know what I'm saying. So it's not about judging the experience. It's just about doing or not, for no other reason than you'd want to or not. You don't have to. Just don't judge it. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a whole interesting thing to overcome. I know when I was on the road for a couple of years and living out of my suitcase, there were people who graciously extended their homes to me, but didn't understand what my process was and saw me in need instead of what was actually happening. And that does never feel good, because you can't explain to them what's going on, because they can't really see it any other way. They're so used to helping people in need that they automatically put you in that same category, which does not help support your prosperity, your true nature. It makes you feel like you know, it's this dependency that's created or tries to be created through this process. And so teaching people that that, wow, you've really created this meal through me, you're more powerful than you realized, and you know, it gives them something else to think about. Gives them something else to think about.
That's amazing. And Siobhan, we have a question in the chat. What is your website?
It's my name.com. So it's S as in Sam, I-O, B as in boy, HANNICOLAOU.com.
Okay, I'm going to put it in the chat then.
Thank you.
Did I get it right?
You
It's
spelled it wrong.
Yeah, it's SIOBHAN. I know, it's so many
SIOBHANNICOLAOU.
I think you yes. Mhm.
All righty, we'll do this. OU.com. Let's try this one, the corrected version. Is that right?
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, love is just, you know, what we're taught as love is usually anything but love. And the only love that I've ever found true, fulfilling, and lasting is the one within me. And just to, you know, get up every day and start making it conscious. That's the key. Everybody can agree that we're all love and this and that, but to have the experience of it's quite different. And so you just befriend yourself. You realize that, you know, there is a spirit inside of you that gives this body life. And yes, it lives within the body itself. But again, you're not going to experience the body as the light it is, or the consciousness it is, unless you make it conscious. The way you make the body consciousness is by making the emotional body, transforming that into the love that it is. And then the body begins to transform, you know, at the same time. So you reclaim the physical aspects of you as the light that they are as well. And you experience yourself differently as a result. It really does a great job for physical manifestations of the illness kind. I can't tell you how seamless it was to get over whatever I got over. People swear it's COVID, but I never got a test to indicate otherwise, and I don't really care. It's just that, you know, I know me, and for me to transform my way out of a situation, I'm better off with the illness than I am with the vaccine. So I made that choice, and I'm okay with it. You know, I can't quite take that in without it affecting me, and that's what I believe. So that would be my experience. I mean, I got to sort so much out on a moment to moment basis, not only of energy and things like that, but I mean, I have a lot of reactions to chemicals and things. I've got some eczema going on, and just a lot of different things. A lot of different things that happened to me on a physical level. And if I would never know where it was coming from. It would really be something that it would be too much for me to sort out. Like, I don't think I could deal with that. So, okay, another question in the chat.
Yes, reclaim physical aspect. How do you do that?
Okay, well, the way I taught myself how to do that is by working with the golden light, which is the consciousness of love in this dimension. White light creates its polar opposite in this dimension and pushes against it. That's why it's used for specific things, but not really great for becoming whole within the self. So golden light is the essence of everything here, and it moves in and through physicality quite easily. And so I work with the golden light in order to be able to do that. I work with people to show them how. So I would work with you by showing you how to use the light, how to not be in your head where the light doesn't flow in the physical body. The golden light will show you by where it doesn't flow and other indicators of where you're holding emotional energy. And love doesn't care, it just loves. And so there are ways to address that. You'll notice that just by being the presence of love every day, again and again, and throughout your day too. It's so funny when I think about how much we've evolved, where we're like, we sit down and we meditate, we connect, disconnect, connect, disconnect, connect, disconnect. Now we're just about staying freaking connected. And that's why, in that bubble of being down below your feet is the most effective way of staying in the presence of the vibration that you try to get a hold of when you're meditating. And so, but to get yourself familiarized, we're going to do a meditation here in about 5 minutes, and I'll take you through part of one of the processes. But so then we would show you through the awareness of emotional energy within the physical body, how to transform it. Some of these things will reveal right away and some of them won't, but that's how you reclaim the light of the soul. The light of the soul is the emotional energy that lives within the physical body. And so working with that light, being within that light, seeing yourself as that light as often as you can is what creates the quickening of the process. But it was so funny. I remember years ago, my teacher at the time told me, well, Siobhan, and I was so happy to find there was a way to be healthy. I mean, seriously, the first time, way before I ever found, spirituality, I was opening up the door. Somebody told me about a psychotherapist and they said, here, I went to this person, they gave me it. And I went into that office and I was just like, oh my God, I just threw the money on the table and walked out. She told me, she said, oh, no. She said, if I think you're in, what did she say? If I think that you might hurt yourself or someone else, I have the authority to call the cops without your knowledge. They tell you that if they think you're going to in danger of hurting yourself or someone else, that they can do this. And I'm like, nah, I'm out of here. So, when I found that there was a way to come, then I channeled. And then when I found golden light, I was told, okay, well, Siobhan, imagine this, that, your emotional body is like this black sheet of paper. And every time you transform a veil, it's like a little pinprick of light. Now, back then, that was like big hope to me. I'm like, whoa, that is amazing. If you tell me that today, I'd be looking for a handgun and a bottle of scotch. I mean, that just feels futile. But good news is that we've come so far into the now that the smallest effort you make to love yourself reclaims a lot more of that energy now. So it'll never take you, like I say, more than half your life, like it has me, to get where I am today. Consciousness is just in the place that it supports every little move you're willing to make. And like I say, if you want something to be your experience, I've told my spirit, I want to experience that as my reality. I just don't want to know it. Knowing it is not enough for me. I want to live it or forget it. And so, knowing me, talk to myself that way. You just tell your spirit that you want to have this experience. I want to know what self-love is. I want to experience self-love within me. I want to take responsibility for more of my physical healing. I want to experience self-healing from the love that is within me. And, I want that experience in my life. I want to get off the dependency from outside in and know and live and be the source that I am as the source of everything in my life. You literally are the source of it all. Your confidence, your stability, your clarity, your prosperity.
That's
Everything.
amazing. And we have, Siobhan, we have another question.
Okay.
You said the first thing in the morning you do, Modiona, it looks like Modiona. What is that?
Moda Ani. Well, Moda
Ani.
is male. Moda Ana is female. It
Thank
is,
you.
in Judaism, it is the way you greet the day. It's the way you greet the spirit in the day, because we recognize that is it. The spirit is it. You just show yourself some respect. It's like you take the me or the I out of it, and you give reverence to what is actually coming back in the body. That consciousness you inhaled when you were born is coming back every morning to give you life. And so it's waking up every morning and in connection, conscious connection with that being, and giving thanks to the being. And it's just really kind of cool, because like I say, when you're lying there and you just said, oh, thank you so much for, you know, today, and you just lie there with your eyes closed and just feel the presence of your being. Like I say, it's working things out with me of all kinds of the projects I have going on, giving me answers to things that I thought about the day before. I don't even have to think, they just kind of are there. And so this is the way you learn, as you listen. In listening, you're in communication with your being. It's not so much talking to it as it is listening. When you listen, then you're getting your answers that you've thought of without sitting and dialoguing. Yeah, it's very nice. And so you just wake up in the arms of your beloved every single day, giving thanks for that. I mean, you know, do you have a partner that you wake up every day and say thank you to that partner and feel the warmth of their body next to you and how great that is? It's the same thing. It's just the warmth from the inside out. You know, your partner and the love that you share is the manifestation of the partnership within you. And so, you know, it's wonderful if you have that. If you have someone that you can share that love with in that way, it's fantastic. And it's just another level of that comes from within. Anything else?
Beautiful.
That's it.
I think that's all that I have in the chat.
Okay, great. All right, well, let's everybody just relax. When the physical body is relaxed, it's in receptive mode. So go ahead and gently close your eyes. Begin to allow your physical body to relax. Inhale down the spine and exhale out your feet. Feeling all the muscles in your face relax. Tuning into the neck and feeling the muscles in the neck relax. Allow the muscles in your shoulders to the tips relax. From the top of your head to the tips of your shoulders, begin to allow the physical body to relax. Drop your awareness from your forehead down into your center, right above the navel. Allowing the mind to become quiet and the body to become calm. Feel your arms heavily resting in your lap. And feel all the muscles from the bottom of your neck down the front and the back to the base of the spine completely relax. Allow the physical body to soften. And feel the muscles in the hips relax. And all the muscles from your hips down to the tips of your toes completely relaxed. And bring your awareness deeper into the center, into the silence. Feeling the body completely relaxed. It's nothing to think about and nothing to figure out. Now imagine your loving being, a golden sphere of light. Tune in to see how far it is already down within the body. And just begin to bring it down from the bottom toward your feet. Imagine and feel the golden light from the top of the head at the crown, down the spine, down to the solar plexus. And as you continue to lower the sphere of being deeper into the body, imagine and feel the spine filled with the golden light, bringing that sphere down deeper and deeper into the body, activating the golden core of your being within the spine. Imagine and feel this sphere radiating 7.5 feet in all directions. Down below the base of the spine, down the thighs, down the knees, and feel it settle beneath the feet. Allowing the physical body to settle into the presence of being. Keeping your awareness deep into the silence, deep in the stillness, right above the navel, within the spine. Holding that bubble of being down beneath your feet. Imagine yourself, golden being of light that you are, standing at the top of 10 golden steps that lead down to the base of the spine. Now, with each step that we take, allow your awareness to drop deeper and deeper into the love of being. 10, 9, 8, even deeper, 7, 6, 5. Deep in the stillness of being. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Imagine yourself standing on that last step, right above the base of the spine, holding in your hand a gold chain with a gold anchor, and imagining the base of the spine, the root chakra opening and dropping that anchor right down into it. And imagine and feel that anchor going all the way down to become one with the heart of Mother Earth. Feeling your energy all the way down in the body anchored in the love of being. Take a moment from within the spine. Look up from the base of the spine to the crown chakra. You're looking right at the core of your golden being. And imagine that this light begin to radiate even brighter within the spine. From the base of the spine to the crown chakra, imagine and feel this light becoming brighter and brighter. Imagine and feel undulating waves of golden light moving through the entire body. Feel them moving through the head, through your shoulders, in and through all of your internal organs, this light just radiating in all directions, filling the body, extending beyond the body, 7.5 feet in all directions. Allowing the physical body to receive the love of being. Feel it radiating through the legs and the hips. Imagine all of your muscles and the bones as the golden light that they are. Allow the physical body to absorb the consciousness of being. Imagine and feel your entire body inside and out golden light. Allow the physical body to soak in the light of being. Feel it holding you. Let it rock you gently. Let it heal and transform you. Let it nourish and nurture you. Let it enliven and inspire you. Allow the physical body to receive the love of being. And standing on that last step above the base of the spine, the physical body anchored in the love of being. We'll take 5 steps back up to the center. And when you're ready, open your eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I always find that pretty relaxing.
That is wonderful,
You like that?
Siobhan. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much, Siobhan. No, it's great.
You're very welcome.
Amazing.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank
for
you.
everything. Okay. Anything else before we go?
Just
Thank you for everything, for the information.
a huge thank you.
I love it.
And Siobhan, before you go away, please give me your mailing address and I'm going to send this to you.
Oh, how lovely. Thank
As
you.
a
I would
thank
love
you.
that.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. Great. My website kind of has a little bit of everything. So if you go to my website, you'll be able to access
Perfect.
my YouTube channel from there and all that kind of stuff. And thank you, ladies. It's wonderful to see you again. Wonderful to feel you again. And many blessings. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Um,
What a
Thank you.
wonderful gift.
Till we meet again.
Yes. Yes. Amen.
Thank you so much. And if anyone would like to make a donation to Universal Church of the Master, as our wonderful Siobhan has given this incredible presentation, absolutely free of charge, don't hesitate to do it. Just go to our website and you can, give a donation. And thank you for the work you're doing as a member of UCM for our
Thank
world.
you. Thank you.
Thank you
Much love.
so much.
Good night.
Good night. Sweet dreams.
You too.